Go for it, my friend.
All right, cool. So, kind of leading into the new year, I think it's a good idea for everyone to kind of take a look at their marketing game, right? And the reason I'm doing this is I see clients that I have and realtors that reach out to me. I think a common denominator is their game isn't 360. Like all their signals aren't talking to each other. They're kind of doing haphazard things, and probably don't have a linear all-in plan and understand each aspect of the plan. So I was gonna give this checklist at the end. I'm gonna drop this in the chat, so you can grab it and look at it and maybe ask questions over this next half an hour. And we're just gonna discuss the points of this. And if you look into next year, I'm gonna start doing workshops on each of these items. I'm gonna shine some light on the things that I definitely see people aren't maintaining, and they should. So we'll just kind of step into it here. What we're gonna cover is just kind of the highlights of what you need to do for a strong all-in marketing approach. Your brand is so important, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. And I'm not talking about your logo. I'm talking about your message and how you separate yourself from the rest of the pack. Then all the must-haves for a strong presence. There's just all these different items, and this is really high level, but you need to be hitting all of these points before you step into the next kind of layers and understand why you're doing it and how it interacts with each other. And then we got the checklist. I sent that. Go ahead and grab that checklist, and let me pin this to the top. And you can ask questions as we're running through this. With no questions, this is going to be really quick, and you have an actionable checklist you can walk away with. So let's just kind of step through it. So for your brand, and so what's your niche? What about you is different? Once you have that, you also need your graphics, your logo, that kind of stuff, and make sure that that's spread out across all of your platforms, exact same colors, exact same logo, exact same pictures. Super important to not be fragmented in your social media, YouTube, Google Business, your website. It should all just work together. And the reason for defining your niche is so you don't commoditize yourself, right? So what's different about you, and it doesn't necessarily have to be your messaging. It could be your vibe. It can be how you present yourself, as long as you're methodical and your intention is to provide service, right, to your sphere, to leads, everything like that. You just want to really avoid that race to the bottom by copying whatever other people do, looking at Canva templates and putting those out and using stuff like Keeping Current Matters. You really want to make your brand you. And once you kind of have that all together, then start looking at all these different technology platforms and just how to get yourself out there. The one that I see neglected more than any, and it's the most important profile that you have, especially as a realtor, is your Google Business profile. You need to treat that like one of your put every bit of effort that you put into your social media platforms into your Google Business profile. It's what causes you to come up when someone searches your area or a realtor. Ronnie, go ahead. How you doing, by the way? I can't hear you. There we go. Nope, still can't hear you.
He's not plugged in.
No mic.
You got me now?
Oh,
there we go. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
On Google Business, can you put up anything aside from still photos? Can you put up like multiple photos in a listing? Can you do anything with videos or links, or is it?
Yeah, you can post if you spread it between the regular posts. They have to be pretty generic. They kind of they'll randomly cancel you if they think you're trying to over advertise. But you can use services. Like if you have a listing, you can put that in as a, you know, as a what's it called, a service, a product. And you can have links in that and everything. So if you're like, if you have lead magnets, you know, like a CMA, home value type of stuff, you know, any sort of like kind of niche down buyer guides or anything like that, you can put that in, you know, as a service. Be careful with the posts though. Google's crazy about, you know, bouncing your content for no reason. You can't really figure out why. They don't really give you a reason. They just say that it's, you know.
If you put a post, well, say something, a buyer's guide, or even, you know, 10 favorite restaurants on Kauai, would you bring them to a landing page so you're capturing your info for that?
I would, yeah. Just put a link in it. All right, Chris.
I think this is one of the things, I know you talk about a lot, this Google business profile, and I think I may have done one time, but in all reality, I don't think I even did it. I think somebody I was with did it, so it's not even my space. But I think it is for as realtors to have this. I think a class, honestly, maybe like just dedicated to like how to set up a Google business profile page would probably get people actually to finally do it. I think, because I mean, I'm one, I'll raise my hand right now. Like I hear you saying it, but I won't go dig into it. I really won't. I just won't. Like, oh, this is cool. You're probably right. I need it, but I'm never going to do it. So,
and that'll be a huge mistake on your part.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this is, I mean, I'm probably not alone on a lot of these people that just really aren't like in that space that we're really good at putting stuff together. Like a class of like, all right, everybody get your laptop. We're going to do this. Step 1, step 2. I don't know.
Yes.
I know.
So what I think you should do. Go ahead, Ronnie.
No, it's interesting that, you know, Dylan has been so focused on Zillow, so we have like over 600 reviews, but we have nothing on Google. It's
and that's hurting too. So that hurts you on if you're trying to do PPC campaigns. Google's not going to just deliver you leads, right? They want to make sure that the signals you have on the other side organically make sense. You know, so when you do that, you just hurt your ability. Like, and it does. I do, you know, I can get into that a little more. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it hurts you if you don't focus on that.
Well, yeah, I've been doing just through the Sync platform. You know, they started like Google local service ads. So it's the same thing. I mean, Google local service ads are sort of like a stepchild to Zillow Flex, but it's the same concept.
Absolutely.
But, you know, but that's what they tell me is like the more I build up my profile and keep it active and have regular content, the more those ads are going to work for me. You know?
Yeah. When I have, you know, PPC clients or local for that matter, they get remarkably better leads and more leads, and when their signals, meaning, you know, how their Google business profile is set up, how their website's set up, when those are positive and best practice, you're going to get better leads. It's just how Google works. It's aware of you, but it's aware of you on a technical basis, right? So it knows that you're set up a certain way, kind of the text and all the best practices that you're putting into place. Then once they get there, now you're at design and you're at your vibe, and you're like, how are you going to keep them there? So that's just that's next. That's in your social media and your website. We're going to talk about that here. But, you know, I think it'd be a good idea, Chris, is to do like maybe do a survey to your group, maybe highlight this checklist that we have and say, like, this is the framework. This is objectively the framework to have a successful marketing program, and then how you leverage technology for it. And so what are the pieces that people are totally flat on? You know, and then maybe do a workshop. That would totally make sense.
I think this is a class for us that we're talking about in September for you, brother. The 2 hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So cool. So the next thing, you know, is your other content that you're putting out there, and a lot of people fall flat on, you know, blogs. Blogs are super important. This is how targeted and intent-based blogs that are looking at what people are searching out there, right? So you have to be conscious of that. All you have to do is search, you know, property in your area, for sale in your area, and you'll start to see Google will show you the other questions that people are asking, and you can kind of focus on that for your blogs rather than just off the top of your head coming up with a blog topic, because that may not speak to intent out on the internet. So you're going to answer questions in your blogs. I find that is the best attractant to the traffic, is just answering questions that Google surfaces that people are asking on topics. And you can do that all in your browser. Super straightforward. And you're going to find the top things that people are searching for just based on your search. So you just really have to pay attention to that. Niche down, neighborhood type blog posts talking about what it's like to live in a certain area. Those are the realtors that just kill it, the people that really double down on that and put that kind of quality content out. With video really helps if you can do that. But that's going to get your traffic. That's where the competition is on the first page of Google for a given area, is just how much focus is put on the area. Everything from, like I said, coffee shops here, what it's like in this little town to live, where there's Starbucks, there's a coffee shop, there's whatever. And then there's, here's the homes, here's what you're looking at. Hey, Ronnie, go ahead.
Does it matter where you put your blog post? Do you have a platform like when you are kind of managing the marketing for a business that you like to use that's better than others? Or
it should live with your website, right? So it's not particularly effective to have separate domain. Like, it's not particularly effective to have like your IDX webpage and then your blog page, that's a different name, and then your CMA offering, that's also a different page. The best way to do it is to contain it all in one website. So like KV Core, for instance, has blogs, it has website. It's okay as far as that goes. I've seen agents rank on the KV Core blog, but something like WordPress, out in front of KV Core, or just going with an entirely different website platform, with IDX, say IDX Broker or something like that attached to WordPress, is going to get you better traffic. You're going to be in the hunt. And if you search for those keyword terms, that you're thinking as far as your area, look at the people that come up top. Don't look at the sponsored. Look at the first few agents that come up top, and you'll see, look at their platforms. And that'll kind of drive you to what the best platforms are.
I need to get Derek to help me do a platform. He probably wouldn't charge me that much.
All right, yeah. And then on your website, you're gonna, you definitely, like, everything's all encompassing, right? So when you're on your website, you want to use your Google reviews. You want to link back to your Google business profile so people can go look at that. You want to use a Google map in there. It shows you on the map because you set up your Google business profile, so you have a tag on the Google map in your area, right? So that's just a way to tie it together. Social media. Make sure that you have all your stuff optimized. Look at your profiles. I think as definitely real estate professionals, you tend to hop around, maybe teams, brands, you rebrand yourself, and then you may not configure that in your social media platforms, and just make sure that it all makes sense, right? So go to Facebook, go to Instagram, kind of look at what that all looks like. Make sure it makes sense. Make sure it's accurate. And then once you kind of get your brand and you figure out what your message is, obviously post consistently. You want to get 3 to 5 posts a week at the bare minimum, just to keep you floating. And they have to be decent original content, not necessarily original, but your spin on the content. If you want to get traffic, that's kind of an emerging thing is with social media, is any one of your posts can take off, right? And you can beat, definitely TikTok started this. A good post, a well thought out, interesting post can go viral. Like it's like playing a lottery on every single post that you do. So really think about it when you're doing that. Think twice about the generic, posting where, I'll help you post 6 months of content, between Canva and Chat GPT. Those aren't going to get you any traffic. They may help you float as far as the algorithm goes, and people look at you and know you're alive, but that's probably not going to drive any traffic back to you. And you can play around with this, start doing posts and boost the post. That's how you get to another wider audience. You can spend $50 and you can pick up, a bunch of followers with a good post. That's another topic that we can discuss down the line. But yeah, just mix it up. watch your strategy, see what performs, and double down on that. And here's something to think about. Each platform is different, right? So if you have a creative, let's say a video that you make on Canva or just any sort of post, know that you're going to want to tune it to the different platforms as opposed to just blanketly posting your TikTok video across everything. You're going to want to change the music. You're going to want to change the vibe. And this is kind of what, these 4 different platforms are just kind of how you should think about, how you're portraying yourself in your posts. Instagram's a story, right? Facebook, you can do much more with Facebook as far as visuals go over Instagram. It can do the wide format, doesn't have to be the portrait. Obviously more community focused, maybe an older crowd on Facebook. LinkedIn, make it professional. Definitely, want to talk about market type and data type information to kind of leverage yourself as an expert in that area. And then TikTok, it's the same kind of as Instagram, where people are scrolling. So just, think about your attention span and how quick you scroll off of things. Make your videos so they hook people in the first 3 minutes or 3 seconds, I should say. It's or visuals that they're going to hook people right away. Just kind of, stuff to think about going into the new year. And this is it. So this is the ticket right here to all of it. It's just pulling it all together. So, my strategy is, I'm not talking about YouTube here because it's just its own beast, but YouTube, if you have the courage and the ability to mount your strategy from YouTube and then push that out to all your platforms, that is the winning ticket. But if you just kind of want to get your feet in the water and you want to start getting some results, using the other platforms, I would have a blog post. I would have blogs drive your content. So you want to be posting kind of what your thing is for this week, or, say you do 2 blog posts a week and they're going to be about an area, they're going to be about maybe a real estate topic, and then you split that content out into your social media. And then on your website, you're driving people to your social media, you're driving people back to your web. So you get all these signals out there, and Google sees that. The search engines see these different signals because they index everything and they bring it all together and they consolidate it. So you as an entity out on the internet, the search engines know that you have social media that's linking back to your webpage, and that your webpage links out to your social media. So they see this net, and that's looked upon positively. If you're doing it correctly, you're not, oversaturating it, with junk AI content, and your content's getting traffic and you're putting effort into it, and just kind of casting that net with all your platforms. You'll show up, you'll start to rise above, you'll start to get more traffic. And you just have to pay attention to it all, right? So it's got to be a part of your game, is that you're going to go in and you're going to, once you have this net cast, you're going to be in your Google business profile at least once a week and just see what's happening, look at your reviews, respond to all your reviews. If you haven't responded to any of your reviews, kind of slowly start to do that. Don't do it all in one day. That's another, positive signal that you're alive and that you're providing that value. Same thing with social media. Make sure you're, if people comment on your stuff, you're responding, even to likes. You can DM people if you don't know them and they like your stuff, DM them, see what's going on. And then just push it out there to get those reviews. Ask people for reviews. If your Google business profile, everybody should be able to get 40 to 50 reviews right through there. It doesn't have to be people that bought a house through you. It can be vendors. It can be somebody without your same last name. Get those reviews built up. Get like 40 or 50. It makes a huge difference. So that's kind of, with this checklist in this presentation, I'm kind of setting you guys up for, what the kind of things we can step through next year, as far as quick little workshops, anything, go in and try to do your Google business profile. I guarantee you're going to get frustrated if you haven't done it, or if you're trying to update it. We can talk about that on a session. Website, blogs, kind of how to craft those, things to look for, maybe some SEO basics. There's so much to it, but if you take this checklist and you get to a comfort level that you have all of these checkbox checked, you're gonna rise above the competition, just 100%. There's no doubt about it. It's an objective call. It's not up for discussion. It's just a matter of how you go about doing it is going to be the thing, right? So that's my pitch, and just hopefully that's helpful and actionable too. Any questions on any of this?
I have a question about what have you been doing, or do you do to build your schedule? I mean, I've seen stuff, I think, from you who can keep track of it all, and from that guy that did the AI workshop back at Build in Honolulu. Give me a social media calendar for a year, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
How do you actually, have you actually put it into a calendar, and do you use tools that like automate, posts and put up your libraries? I bought a tool. I started paying for a tool. I suffer from the shiny object syndrome. Perhaps you've heard that.
Everyone does. I do too.
And I just found I didn't make the time to use it.
Yeah. That's part of it. I would say enter it slowly and inexpensively. So what I do keyword research, and you can just do that through Google, but make sure that the posts that you're doing, people are searching for that, right? People are interested in that, and there's a number of ways you can go about doing that. That needs to be your number one driver. And then have a discussion with ChatGPT. And I can't imagine doing more than about 2 months of posts, just because it doesn't make sense, because things change so dramatically. You can get that generic content. That's not going to probably get you traffic. It might keep you floating. But basically what I do is I'll do, say every business day, 5 days a week, we're going to do a post, and we're going to do each day, there's going to be a content pillar. So there's going to be a type of topic that you discuss. So like maybe Mondays are going to be your market report, or maybe you do that once a month. And then you do other market kind of discussions on Mondays. Tuesdays is going to be DIY ideas. People love that kind of stuff, the DIY, or like, the things you're going to get your investment back on if you do to your house, like landscaping, the ROI on landscaping, the ROI on a kitchen, those kind of discussions. And then, maybe like events coming up in the community, that kind of stuff. So you build 5 content pillars so you know what your posts are going to be. And then in ChatGPT, have that discussion of just building that out, right? Based on these. So you have the first initial discussion where you're talking about, here's the keywords, here's who I am, here's what I'm kind of trying to get across. And you can do things like post your bio and stuff like that. So you cue ChatGPT up to be your marketing expert, and it knows it's building a calendar for you. Then you feed it the content pillars, and maybe feed it some keywords per pillar that you found. So you're going to do a couple hours of research and figure that out, and then have it build out the next, say 5, Monday through Friday, I want the next 2 months of what my topics are going to be. And it kicks that out, and you can adjust. You can say, yeah, I don't like, I really don't like kind of where you're going with Wednesdays. Redo it. You just keep redoing it until you like it. And you're like, and then I'll tell ChatGPT, okay, lock that last one in. That's my content calendar that I'm going to run with. I'll copy and paste it into like a Google Doc or maybe a spreadsheet. You can do a spreadsheet that looks like a calendar if you want to do it like that, or you can just do a linear bullet list, whatever kind of you want to do. I do both. It just depends. And then the cool thing about that is it's ChatGPT is keeping track of what you did, right? So you can come in and like what I'll do is I'll use Meta, say a Meta business profile. You can automatically post to Instagram and Facebook. So you can schedule those out, and that's free, right? So go in and use those. Post out for maybe the next 2 weeks. It'll take you initially kind of, as you're building out your images and stuff like that, it may take you some time, but you'll get faster at that. And you can post 2 weeks of Instagram and Facebook posts in maybe 2 to 3 hours. Then you're set.
So
And
you
then
can
we-
only do that from your business page? Not your-
Yeah, you can do that. You can schedule that out from Meta.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of good reasons for doing that. One of them is, so now you got them scheduled out, and then say in 2 weeks, or hopefully before 2 weeks, you go back in and you're like, all right, I posted the last 2 weeks. What's next for me? And it'll kick it back out for you, and now you know what your next posts are, and you can be like, all right, I need you to build out the next 30 days under that. And then you go in and you post those, and you can just keep this narrative going with ChatGPT, and you don't forget what you posted that way. It's like you have an expert little helper thread that you just keep going. That's what I do for clients. I just leave it in there and run with it. And then it's at the top of your head, like you can have those kind of discussions with people as to what you've been posting. As long as you stick to it. You don't always stick to it because sometimes something inspires you and you do maybe an ad hoc post. But that's really the way to do it. And the cool thing about Meta, if you're doing that, is now you have analytics, right? Make sure you're using business profiles on Instagram, the professional profiles. And you can start to see what topics kind of get more traffic, and you can boost them, or you can do engagement campaigns kind of based on those topics, and you have to start to spread your reach. And and that might give you ideas on what, like if you want to start doing PPC campaigns, that may tell you what who your audience is, right? That's just some good indicator. Although Facebook and Instagram are more like billboard. There's no intent a lot of times when people are kind of coming across your posts, even if you boost them. So it's kind of a lower level lead, especially in Hawaii, because I think everybody has a fantasy of living in Hawaii. So you get a lot of looky-loos that you got to sort through too. But it's still good. Get your face out there and get comfortable with that, and just start to increase your reach. I know that went a little outside of what you're asking, but
you have a perspective on I've had this idea, right? So I'm like a mini team here, right? A satellite team of the agency. And the idea of kind of building a team brand versus individual's brand.
Yeah.
I like, so for Dylan, Justice is out there building her own brand, and, Candace is doing luxury, blah, blah, blah. But the YouTube is kind of Dylan. But I had this thought of getting everyone, like Kyle Whistle, who you must know from San Diego.
Yeah. Okay.
On his whole website presence, he's got all different kinds of team members putting videos. So he's kind of like doing it that way. Do you have a thought, or does it matter?
I think
you
so.
Do it consistently.
Look, if you really want a good answer on that, and kind of who I follow on that is Gary Vee. At the end of the day, if you look at how people consume content, the team doesn't matter, the individual matters. So make sure your content is strong. At the same time, you need your other channels to also be cohesive and make sense. So if someone clicks you and they look back at you and they see you have a team and all this stuff, that's cool. Then that's what happens with Dylan. But at the end of the day, focus on yourself, because that's kind of the chain of events as people are looking at content. And that can drive, people looking at you will drive people to your team, and then same thing with your team, they can do that. That's a discussion though too, is do you have an individual page, or do you have a team page, or, split those out? That's up in the air as far as I'm concerned, as far as like the different experts that I kind of subscribe to. But look at Gary Vee. And then, you can do, go into ChatGPT and say, you're Gary Vee, tell me blah, and see what it types out for you. And kind of kick that discussion off, because it's going to be different than like Neil Patel from SEMrush, who's very, he's obviously SEO driven. Hopefully I didn't confuse things, but those are the two, leaders in that. You can make your own decision kind of based on, their expert advice.
All right, I'm going to do that as soon as we
All right.
say you do. Yeah.
I got to jump off here. I'm 3 minutes late for a meeting. So thank you, everyone. And, as always, feel free to reach out. Ronnie, we can continue the discussion, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Y'all have a great week.
Where are the slides? These slides.
They're in the chat box. I'll put that on the YouTube, and I'll put it on the Facebook page for Team Freedom too.
Yeah, so I'll drop the link to the slides in this checklist.
Okay.
All right, guys. See you.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric.